everyone. I've got my coffee and welcome to another episode of PB4 at home. Behaviour for home people to know. So today we're going to talk about self-regulation and sensory needs. Now these are things that unless you work in this space, you may not have heard of these things. I worked in special education for a long time, and so this was something that we knew and we talked about a lot. So self-regulation is the idea, if we look back at this image of the escalation cycle, self-regulation is about being able to keep myself out of the middle box, in a place where I'm calm and I can learn. And there are some things that you can do to help people self-regulate. When we're teaching people to self-regulate, which is to stay in the calm space, not to escalate, we oftentimes need to predict that for them and put preventative things in place for them. So if you sometimes, you may have heard, at schools, sometimes schools will have what they call brain breaks, or they have playtimes and kids run around. What they're doing, in some settings, some educational settings, they might do vestibular movement, which is this kind of movement. They might do some kind of movement. The aim of these kind of exercises, when they're structured in and sequenced, is that it's taking the person from being elevated back to calm preventatively. So we're not waiting for them to explode. We're keeping everyone calm preventatively. And there are some things you can do to self-regulate. And we're going to talk about those things a bit later on in another thing. But here's some things. When things are predictable and sequenced and routined, people tend to be able to self-regulate better. So unpredictable, making decisions just like that, not being clear, they actually make it harder for someone to self-regulate. Now we're going into the sensory needs kind of aspect of it. People fidgeting, if people have I haven't got a pen, let's just say this is a pen. If people have pens and they're doing this when they're writing, they could be self-regulating. That's a fidget. Do you remember the fidget tools that came out, quite a while ago, and they'd spin, that people would hold them and they spin? Those are actually made as a tool for people to fidget with. You might notice when you are stressed, or when you're just writing or working, or remember when you were back at school, you might have played with pens, or you might have tapped on a desk. There actually can oftentimes be mechanisms that people are using to self-regulate. That's movement. So you may see people with bouncy kind of ball chairs, or wobble chairs they're called. That's because that kind of movement helps people self-regulate. So predictability can help self-regulate, and routines can help self-regulate. You can also ask the person, how do you feel? What makes you feel calm? Stress balls that people, I haven't got one, stress balls that people squeeze. Hang on, I've got something else here that people will sometimes use, these kind of things, and they play with them. Stress balls, pressure, those kind of things, people generally know what calms them down. So the idea is that you sequence those things in preventatively. You don't wait till someone's exploded and then go squeeze your squeeze ball. No, what you do is you sequence it in multiple times a day regularly. If giving someone something like this, or a squeeze ball, or a fidget toy, helps them to stay calm, they can have it. It's not going to affect their learning generally. Generally speaking, it's going to help if it's for self-regulation. And thinking about sensory needs. If you've set up somewhere for kids to work at home, or yourself, if you think about the temperature and the light coming in, the amount of noise, distractions, the how you're sitting, all of those kind of environmental aspects, those things help people self-regulate. I've taught kids where the fluorescent lights made them unable to self-regulate, and that was in mainstream secondary colleges. And knowing those things helps to leave people in a learning space. So we talked about We talked about self-regulation and what that is, and there will be some links in the comments that you can check out, and also sensory needs. These are things that help keep people calm. So ask the person, if you've got kids, ask them, what keeps you calm? Does a little squeezy toy keep you calm? You know, and let them have it if it's not disrupting their work, because generally that's a mechanism to self-regulate. See you tomorrow.